the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial. However, this one is from the old world. Yes, we're finally here, we're finally doing it. It's the Tomb Kings of Khemri, and we're kicking things off with the Tomb Prince to keep things nice and simple. Because, well, there is a Bone Dragon to tackle, but he's a bit bigger, so I wanted to start off with this one. And we're going to be painting him up today in the classic colours of Khemri. As this is basically the box art. And he's been sent to me early by Games Workshop as part of the Tomb Kings of Khemri core army set. So massive, massive thank you to them. And, well, we should just jump in and we should start painting him. I'm very excited. It's going to be fun. Now, he's been primed in White Scar, and the entirety of the set has been primed in White Scar. And the colour we're going to be using first is Poxwalker. And we're going to be applying this all over the top of all of our Tomb King's flesh. He's got that sort of undead flesh thing going on. Really works for him. As you can see. We're just going to apply this over the top of his arms, his legs, a little bit of his torso as well. You can see some flesh. And of course his face as well. You just want to get this all over like this. You don't need very much to do these sections, especially over the White Scar. A little bit here and there. Just be careful with how much you have on your brush and take your time, so you don't want to miss any bit. Like that, perfect. And then, as mentioned, we've also got his tummy as well, just in there. Like that. So with all that Poxwalker applied, we're then going to take some Black Legion. I'm going to be applying this over most of his clothes. So we've got this bit here, so we've got the skirts, but the inside of his cloaks as well as his sleeves. Now what we don't have to do it over the top of is his headdress, or indeed the outside of this inner robe here. What I'm talking about is this bit along here and just under there as well. So you want to leave those bits for now. But as for the rest of it, well, have at you. So with all that Black Legion all applied, as you can see, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Seraphim Sepia and we're going to apply this over the top of the rest of the cloth. Here. And under here. And in there. We're also going to apply this around the headdress, but I have lied to you there. This isn't over the rest of the cloth because it's not over the outside of the cloak. So with that Seraphim Sepia all applied, we then take some Blood Angels Red. And we're going to apply this over the top of the outside of the cloak. We're going to start up here in this corner. Just start bringing it down. So with all of that Blood Angel's red applied, there is more red on him, but we're not going to do it yet. We're going to do it after this next step. Well, presumably. Anyway, what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Akhelian Green and we're going to use this for loads of different details. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to apply this over top of the shield facing. Here, here, and then we've got the rest of it as well. Just going to get this in there. Like so. We've got the rest of it, which we should definitely finish. Like that. There we go. Job number one. The next thing to do is over the top of the armor panels, here, here, we've got this one up here as well. Like that. We've also got the chest armor. Like that. Cool. That's the easy part. The more difficult part is all of these little kind of patterns. So what we want to do is we want to alternate across all of these sections between Akhelian Green and Blood Angel's Green. Blood Angel's Green, Blood Angel's Red. So we're going to put one there. Put one there. Do one there. And do one there like that. We'll do the same thing on the back as well, but we are also going to do this all the way around him. So the best thing to do is to start here on the front. So I'm going to do this one. In Akhelian Green. Like that. Then we've got the next bit along. And then one right under here. Like that. But the reason we've done that is because this one is red, which means then when we turn it over, this one here is Akhelian Green. And so on and so forth. Now you want to do this across the arms, the legs, the belt, anywhere where you've got that segmenting thing going on. So with all that Akhelian Green applied, we're then going to take Blood Angel's Red and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the remaining segments. that Blood Angel's red applied, we then take some Black Templar and we apply this over the top of the armour panels. So, with that all done, we're now going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over the top of the wood. And so with that now done, we're going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour and we're going to apply this over, well, most of the remaining details. We're looking for things like trim on all the armour, decorative pieces on the weapon, his beard. I'm certain that it has a proper name and I don't know. Either way, just have a little look at your box art. Paint in all of the areas that you wish to be gold. So with all that gold applied, as you can see, there's rather a lot of it. What we're going to do now is take some Ratling Grime. I'm going to apply this over the top of any leather straps. Got the ones here on the shield. And the ones on his armour. And so with that Ratling Grime applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Leadbelcher. I'm going to apply this over the top of the remaining details on the weapon. So with all of our base coats now applied to our tomb prints, it's now time to add some shades. And the first of these is going to be some Targor Rageshade. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the silver. that Targor Rageshade all applied, we then take some Nuln Oil. I'm going to use this to shade all of the black. So with that done, we're then going to take some Reikland Fleshshade. I'm going to use this to shade all of the gold, but we're also going to use this to shade the red sort of armory bits. There. Like that. So with all that Reikland Fleshshade applied, we're then going to apply some Volupus Pink. I'm going to apply this over top of the red of the cloak. So with that all done, he is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, but we're not going to leave him there, of course not. We're going to take him to the next level. We're going to do this by adding some highlights. And the first of these is going to be some thinned down Deepkin Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight his skin. Now, there isn't a ton of this to do. It's just the most prominent features on his leg, his arms, and of course, on his face. One thing I will point out though, is you also want to use this to paint in his eyes. So with all that Deepkin Flesh applied, we then take a little bit of Frostheart, and we're going to apply this very carefully over the eyes. Like that. And then next up, I want to take a teeny tiny amount of Volupus Pink. You want to apply this to the gums. So with that then done, we want to take a tiny little bit of Pallid Wych Flesh. And we want to use this right in the middle of each of the eyes. Like that sort of thing. But what we're also going to do with the Pallid Wych Flesh is we're going to use this to effectively relayer our Seraphim Sepia areas. I want these to be nice and bright. So that all done, the flesh, the face and the bony cloth are now finished. So we're going to move on to all of the black details. I'm going to start out with some thinned down Eshin Grey. I'm going to use this to highlight all of those black details, just picking out all the edges. Just like this. So with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. I'm going to use this to add some little spot highlights to all of that black. So with all that Dawnstone then applied, we take a tiny little bit of Administratum Grey. I'm just going to apply this to the sharpest corners of the black. So that all done, the black is all finished. So what we're going to do is going to move on to all the red. Now this is going to be all the red. We are going to do this to all of those segments as well, including our cloak. And the colour we're going to be using to highlight these first is some thinned down Wild Rider Red. And we're just going to look to pick out the sharpest edges. Across all of our red details. And with all of that Wild Rider Red applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Akhelian Flesh tone. I'm going to apply this to the sharpest points in all the red, including the red armory bits. So with that all done, the red is now finished. So what we can do is we can take some thinned down Baharoth blue. We can use this to do the same thing to the blue. Well, Akhelian Green. I'm going to start here. And so with that then done, we want to take a tiny little bit of white scar. You just want to apply this in the corners of the blue. So with that all done, just got 2 last areas to work on. That's all the metallics. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some thinned down iron breaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all the silver. That iron breaker all applied, and then I'm going to take some thinned down Liberator gold. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the gold. And so with that all done, there's just one last thing to do, which is to take a tiny little bit of Blood Angel's Red and apply this over the gemstone. So with that done, the paint job is now all finished on our Tomb King / Prince. And I think he looks absolutely fantastic. Now, whilst we have used things like contrast paints and stuff like that to paint him, we're going to go for a more classic feel for the basing. I didn't want to use the texture paint, for example. I wanted to use a mixture of sand and flock and stone and stuff, just like we did back in the old days for things like Old World. So what I have indeed bought is some base-ready Mediterranean soil from Geek Gaming Scenics. And I'm going to be using this. Now you could just use any old mix if you wanted to. But what I've also done is I've bought some of their fast drying basing glue. I'm just going to show you how to do this. Just give that a little shake, a little bit of squeeze just to get the nozzle filled. So what we're going to do is just going to apply the PVA glue. This stuff doesn't need thinning down or anything like that. Just apply it straight onto the base like so. And I'm going to use a texture spreader here. You can use any old tool that you want though, to just distribute that PVA glue around the base. Trying to get it as even as possible. Also trying not to overspill either. I could use a brush, but this will absolutely wreck a brush. Not specifically this glue, just using brushes to move glue around can tend to be quite destructive for them. There we go. So now that we've got that PVA glue all over, just going to pop that down carefully. And then we're going to grab our Tomb King into this mix. I've just dumped it out into a, well, you get these in those boxes from Games Workshop when you get a sort of single miniature. We're just going to run this through the mix like that, and then I'm just going to start tapping it off all the way around because he's square. Like that. Turn it upside down, give it a good shake. There we go. And then I'm just going to check the rim, see there's not anything really overspilling. Got a little bit just there. Just check we've not kind of tapped too much off in any position. Shouldn't be any base showing. Maybe just a little bit on that corner. There we go. And that should give us a really nice looking base. And so all that's left to do is leave that to dry. And then paint the rim of the base in the colour of your choice, which for me is going to be black. So there you go. Quick basing, done in minutes.
And so with some Black Legion applied to the rim of the base, our tomb print is now finished and we are off the mark in the old world, baby. Yes, finally we have a painting tutorial for you. And there is many more to come, of course, but this was a really great way to start things off. And I really enjoyed this one. I think he looks fantastic. And, well, it only took me about half a day to do, so that's really very promising, isn't it? If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.